Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Friends of the Dar, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Kuwait has been suffering from a slowly developing form of architectural amnesia. Many scholars have attributed this to new buildings materials, such as steel and cement, as a result of the production of oil wealth. But these materials were already introduced in the early 20th century with the missionaries who came and built the American Mission Hospital. What followed was enthusiasm from these construction methods, particularly since construction coincided with years of periodic heavy rains that collapsed many of the traditional houses made with mud brick or mud with coral. Nonetheless, the concrete roofs of the mission hospital also leaked. Even the buildings did not fall. The importation of the automobiles, also before oil, began to necessitate roads that were wide and paved. Houses were demolished to make room for these roads. The future impact on cultural changes was not realized at the time, since the effects was relatively minimal. And the new roads still followed the basic path of the old roads. The automobiles that passed through the gates of the wall still led to the same destinations: the oases of Jahra, the wells of Shamiyah, the farms of Adan, Hawali, Sha'b, and others. After oil wealth increased by the 1950s and the rate of architectural change accelerated, new paved roads were built inside old Kuwait town, but they still followed familiar streets. Sikkat al-Faray or Sikkat al-Abd al-Razzaq were straightened, widened, and paved from the newly named Mubarak al-Kabir Street, but remained the same road that coincided with the Sif, connected with the Sif Palace to the Sha'b Gate. Every day, the same gate, now preserved within a roundabout, is next to the road that still leads to the Hawali and Sha'b areas. The old Bayon Palace, originally a hunting lodge, has been demolished to make way for the Mubarak al-Kabir Hospital, but its location of its original site across from the Hawali is still detectable, if invisible. With the advent of the various town plans, change became more radical. Although the new town plans still articulated to the old walled city, the inspiration for the first plan was in the new towns of Britain. The old town had developed organically and reflected settlement patterns rather than artificial planning. Building regulations called for houses that were detached from their neighbors and their neighborhoods, and inverted traditional spatial systems, such as the courtyard. Neighborhoods, the basis of Kuwaiti social and cultural interactions, stability, and cohesion were abolished as the old houses were demolished. All these contributed to a traumatic cultural impact. With the recent construction of expressways, the old road system had been converted with a grid system that does not relate to familiar buildings or other historical structures. Mosques whose locations were inconveniently situated within the grid were demolished and rebuilt in sites that did not interfere with the new road systems. There has been much nostalgia for the old town, but it has generally felt to be futile effort to reconstruct. However, tonight, with tonight's speaker, Dr. Abdulmuttalib al-Ballam, is a bearer of good news, an assistant professor in Kuwait University, Department of Architecture, who earned his PhD in architecture from UCLA with a focus on computer-aided architectural design, the CAD program. He is currently chair of the College of Architecture in Kuwait University. He has worked as a consultant to a number of architectural offices in Kuwait and is a member of governmental communities in the Housing Authority and the High Council of Planning. He's also taken part in the 15th conference of the International Association for the Study of a Traditional Environment, entitled Legitimating Tradition. It is being held in Kuwait between December 17th to the 20th and was organized by Kuwait University and the University of California, Berkeley. His research focuses on reconstruction or reconstructing the vanished vernacular architecture of Kuwait. His topic is a first in our lecture series that deals with the understanding of old Kuwait town. It is also, in a sense, unique, at least in its approach, using multidisciplinary sources of data, including historical records, aerial photographs, and computer software. His team of 50 members has already reconstructed the Wasat area and is ready to start both Sharq and Jibla. The title of the lecture, Virtual Reconstruction of Old Kuwait, bellies the exciting approach to the possibilities of reconstructing the old vernacular town, not only in the facades and floors plans of its old buildings, but using CAD imagining to visualize, reproduce, and accurately represent the interaction of houses, neighborhoods, lanes, and roads that comprised old Kuwait. Interaction, that's an operative word. By the way, mobile phones also interact with a lot of people. And this is why I'd like you to turn them off and welcome our lecturer, Dr. Abdulmuttalib al-Ballam. Please.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Bayon, for this generous introduction, and special thanks for al-Athar al-Islamiyyah for hosting this event and giving us the opportunity to travel with our guest tonight back in the past, approximately 65 years ago, through the virtual reconstruction of old Kuwait during the 1951 project. Thank you, our guests, for taking part and taking part of your precious time to join us here tonight. I promise you to make this lecture light, fun, and unforgettable as much as possible. Tonight, we are honored to welcome among us the approximately 150 ISTA conference members and participants who have obligated us to change this lecture from Arabic language to English. So you have to blame them for that. Because this is a public event and not directed to academic scholars, allow me to speak in a common language and terms and styles. For ISTA, I think this is a break from the long 3 days technical, probably scientific lectures. So behind this project is a story. When I joined Kuwait University in 2004 as a faculty member, the chair of architecture department asked me kindly to teach a course about the history of vernacular Kuwait city and Islamic architecture. As young, fresh graduate who wants to prove that he's a team player, I have no choice but to accept this request. However, I was shocked of the significant lack of scientific references about the physical 3D structure of the vernacular Kuwait city. Yes, I came across some references, token, textually, orally, about the city or about the events happened around the city. However, there is no tangible references that allows the researchers, the students of architecture to comprehend the real fabric of Kuwait city prior to its independence from the British Empire. Why? Why there is no physical references? I'll tell you another story. In early 1950s, His Highness Sheikh Abdullah Salim Sabah, the father of modern Kuwait, invited a British planning company called Manipur and Spinsley to redesign the vernacular Kuwait city to a modern capital. Manipur and Spinsley, on the other hand, they asked another British company called Hunting Aero Surveys to fly over Kuwait city and capture the images of the existing vernacular fabric of the city based on, let me take this. Based on these images, Manipur and Spinsley designed backbone of our current modern Kuwait city. Their plan led to move the people from the vernacular city out the gates of the city to new suburbans, as much as possible destruct the old vernacular city and build a new capital that allows Kuwait to have a membership in the United Nations. This is Kuwait now, 1951, exactly March 1951. Kuwait city used to be a typical Arabian city with narrow zigzag streets contained by introverted houses with an average 1.5 stories high. The current day Kuwait city, I'll talk about it, but these are the typical images that you find yourself. By the way, we found only 39 images for this city, exactly 39, and most of them in the in al-Wasat area. So this is how significant are these images. We'll talk about them later. This is the modern Kuwait city. And what you see in red is basically the only existing vernacular structures that have been remodeled and refurbished and not necessarily that represent the old Kuwait city. So, what to do? Don't ask me how did I teach the history of Kuwait course back then, but I'm sure that my student knowledge of vernacular Kuwaiti architecture is as equal as probably Siberian architecture. As a fresh graduate from UCLA Virtual Reality Lab and a person who helped Dr. Diane Favreau to reconstruct ancient Rome, I know back then that I can do something. For example, I can use shadows from hunting air survey images to calculate probably length of walls and height of masses. I can realize some articulation in the walls. However, the amount of missing information were overwhelming. I had to quit my dream back then. It is not until 2010 when I came across an abstract map constructed by historian, well, actually he's engineer, but he loved history. So historian Mr. Muhammad Jamal, identifying names of plazas, streets, administrative structures, names of owners and occupiers of houses in al-Wasat area, the middle area of Kuwait City. And he based his map on the image of Hunting Air Surveys Company, which is 1951, March. The map made me think, honestly, of a deceased artist called Ayyub al-Ayyub, who was so fascinated with, I was personally fascinated with him during my childhood. Al-Ayyub drew approximately 600 paintings representing the environment of old Kuwait City from the 1960s till early 21st century. So basically, all his drawings, Ayyub al-Ayyub, are done after the destruction of the city. So what fascinated me about Ayyub al-Ayyub's style is not perfect, as you see. He has difficulties in representing spaces with perspectives, drawings. His representation of human figures are exaggerated sometimes, makes you not take him seriously. But what made me remember his paintings are his titles. He titled his paintings according to locations, most of his paintings, according to locations and spaces of old Kuwait City. So Al-Ayyub usually titles his paintings with famous names, known plazas. So I went back and I grouped his paintings with similar locations, okay? And I started to ask myself, could these childlike paintings represent an actual spaces, correct architectural elements with little mistakes? With careful analysis, I discovered the following. Look at the three. These are 4 different paintings, of course, and when you look around carefully, you'll find similarities. So this view basically looking west, and this view is looking north. And you see there is some similarity here. There is 3 windows, and next to the windows there is a door, and it is basically repeated always. And when you see here, there is a bench that is repeated as well. So I started to ask myself, could it be in this actually not an imagination? It could be a real existing structure that has been vanished and we just discovered it again. So yes, I found it more and interesting similarities. As you see here, the recession in the wall are almost the same. So I took the 4 images and I started to really adjust them. And basically I discovered that Ayyub al-Ayyub in this image on the left, he was looking north and he was looking partly into Al-Oud mosque, we will talk about. And when you go the other way, he's basically moving next to Al-Oud, looking west. And in this way, he's looking south. And basically, in this case, he's looking east. So I took it further, and I said, you know what? Obviously, that Ayyub al-Ayyub, he claims that this is a real images of the past. So I went through and interviewed many historians who really approved my theory that most of his architectural elements were existing, and it's not merely an imagination. So I collected the images of photographs that I went all over between postcards, museums, as much as possible, 39 being identified. And also the photographs helped me significantly. For example, this image we found in a postcard, and when I looked at this image, I thought, what is this? Is this Kuwait City? It does not represent Kuwait. It looks more like Cairo. But with a little research, I discovered that this person, actually, he was above the Sif Palace, looking through this window. And he is capturing the image partly of the storage of the harbor. These are some storages of the harbors. And in fact, this is a really unique discovery. So now we are moving three-dimensional. We could see spaces a little bit, okay? But what is this crazy looking structure? And I found another picture that really come close, and oh, so these are, now we could go in detail to basically somehow to really reconstruct the street. But this actually, this building is very unique because it was the first building in Kuwait to implement cement block. So this is a Binayat al-Khrafi and al-Matruk. Okay? So this is another building next to Sif Palace, which is Idarat al-Jumrik, the admin of customs. And ironically, my father worked here as well. So this is interesting. He proved that. So I collected the paintings, the images, the aerial maps. This in summary, I had to say that because we went through further historical reviews and literature reviews, and historian interviews. So this is a painting. This is, according to Muhammad Jamal, where it is. Now we have names. Okay, he's looking into the Mosque of Mtawwa, Mahmoud al-Mtawwa, Diwan Abdul Wahab, Ali Abdul Wahab. So these are all buildings. And then this is the aerial image from the top. And we have some photographs for the minaret. Of course, the minaret, Ayyub al-Ayyub depicted an aerial version, not the new one that's in the picture. So I gathered all the paintings that really we could discover a location for in the Al-Wasat area. And what you see in red now, all the paintings of Ayyub al-Ayyub, all the concentration of paintings. And the yellow is basically the photographs. See how significant is Ayyub al-Ayyub? So why it is concentrated here? Because it is Barahat al-Ud, Barahat al-Ijna'at. Barahat al-Ijna'at means the plaza of Ijna'at is a tribe of al-Ijna'at, and Ayyub al-Ayyub, he's part of al-Ijna'at, and basically his childhood is all around here. So this is, we identified 7 areas. This is Barahat al-Ud, the plaza of al-Ud. The second one, which is very focused on by Ayyub al-Ayyub, was the Al-Khalifa Mosque area. My assumption, he was going with his mom when she was washing the clothes, something like this. And this is why he was extremely nostalgic. You find a lot of scenes for the sunsets. So the other concentration, of course, because of the images, we find it in Buhaita area. Buhaita believed to be housing Al-Qut. Al-Qut is the earliest structure in Kuwait. So before this big city was only a cabin called Al-Qut in a way. And they believe that it is this area. Again, there's another plaza called Barahat Mbarak. And south, we have Darwazat Abdul Razzaq area. Okay. And of course, Mantaqat al-Suq al-Dakhli. So these are the 7 areas that we could really proudly or calmly, we could start our reconstruction in a way. So this is when we project the map on the current situation, this is the current situation. This is the Sif Palace, the main admin building of Kuwait. And this is al-Mubarakiya market, which is, I guess, some of you visited last night. So this is al-Mubarakiya, and next to it, of course, the intersection here of Darwazat Abdul Razzaq, and here are the banking, many banks, Bank al-Watani, Bank Burgan. Of course, this is where Barahat al-Oud, where al-Ayyub was focusing on. Barahat Mbarak, actually now, it's part of the Grand Mosque, okay? And of course, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and also the Ministry of Planning houses the Al Khalifa Mosque area. So, I had 6 sources for the reconstruction, 6 pillars I depended on. So the first one was the historical aerial images, historical maps, of course, historical photographs, historical paintings, and of course interviews with historians and people interested, still living, and of course the review of literature. This is in summary. Don't want to bore you with the analysis, but I'll take you quickly through the analysis, and then we're going to start in a journey through the reconstructed city. So bear with me. This is started from 210 until 213. So basically, we had to define the area of investigation. The first thing we had to do is to define where should we go. We don't want to fly everywhere. So this is an area of Al-Wasat area, 650,000 square meter approximately, and this is where we started our reconstruction. Okay. Muhammad Jamal map had a problem. It was drawn with his hand, and it is in an abstract way. So if we subject the aerial map to his map, aerial image to his map, it would have been deformed this way. So we have to adjust his map. The first thing we've done, we brought the aerial image, and then we redraw Muhammad Jamal's map again, and then we put the names. But again, we discovered many mistakes in Muhammad Jamal's representation, so we have to adjust and correct. But again, whatever he's done, it helped us significantly in this reconstruction. So we started to go in detail. We went through some known places and houses. We went into the complex of Ma'rafi family, which houses the clinic, the women clinic, the Al-Ja'fariyya school, and also the house of Yahya al-Hadidi, okay? We went also to al-Mubarakiyya school. We redrew this is the first systematic school in Kuwait. So it's significant that we really care about and redraw. So we went through many sections, as you see here, for Mubarakiyya. Even the images, we tried to extract element. For example, this is al-Mubarakiyya, images that related to al-Mubarakiyya school. So what we've done basically, we take the image. If we find something unique, like this door, we try to redraw. And I would like to thank my master students for doing this research. I will talk about this later regarding the contributors, of course. They've done all of these things that you see here now. Doors and pictures, doors and Ayyub drawings, we try to verify them, and then we try to redraw them in a correct way. Of course, determining the height, for example, if we have a picture and then we started to multiply. It's an old way of determining height sometimes. 4.25, and then we go into the articulation stage. So now, I'm going to take you through a journey of the results, okay? We're going to start in Ma'rafi area, or Masjid Khalifa area, and we're going to walk down to Mbarak Plaza, and then Al-Oud, and then Tubayykh, Darwazat Abd al-Razzaq, Al-Mbarkiya, and then we go back to Baheta area, or Qasr al-Sif area. Okay? So let's start first with Nigat Ma'rafi and Al-Khalifa Mosque area. So this is the area that we're talking about, and what you are going to see now is an image for someone flying over here and looking down toward this complex, okay? And this is the image that we reached. This is Masjid al-Khalifa, still existing nowadays, of course. The minaret is different now, okay? Mustawsaf al-Nisa'i, Women Clinic. This was one of the earliest clinics in Kuwait. Dr. Yahya al-Hadidi came to Kuwait. He's a Syrian doctor. And he established two clinics. One of them was for women, and the other one was for men. So these are the two clinics. And we had too many information about them because Ayub al-Ayyub, thankfully, he drew, he had many images and paintings regarding. And we verified it with still living people who lived in these places. Of course, Yahya al-Hadidi, the doctor, he rented a house here. This is his house. Rented, it's part of Ma'rafi area. And of course, Ma'rafi family is known as a merchant families, and they are very influential. So they had the Diwan, Majlis, a male reception house. We call it Diwan in Kuwaiti. And it's extremely significant architectural image. You find it only in southern Iraq and eastern part of the Gulf. And it's extremely was significant back in Kuwait city. Of course, this is the house of Jasim Ma'rafi, one of the eldest. This is Al-Madrasa Jafariya, Jafari School. This is one of the earliest systematic schools in Kuwait, but it was run by mainly Shiite imams and Shiite sect way of education. And it really played a significant part in our development of the education system in Kuwait. This is Amarat al-Sheikh Sabah al-Nasr, is the ship-built yard of Sabah al-Nasr and Barak al-Khamis, because we don't want to determine which one owned it, because as you know, the ownership changes with time. But in these places, as you see here and there, they build ships. And they take the ships down to the sea whenever they finish. And this is very significant architectural, functional and structure. Okay, we'll go in zoom more. We are now going to look at a view inside the woman clinic. Someone is sitting on the corner and looking toward the door. And this is what we reached. In this image, we had to interview ladies from Ma'rafi family. They are very old to the point they didn't want to meet us in person. We had to interview them through phones. And they were describing to us the space as much as possible. And this is the closest thing we had for their description, in a way. So this is the house, actually housed the females of Ma'rafi family. But part of it, where the nurses used to come and treat other women who comes and visit into this house. So let's go to the courtyard inside the Syrian clinic. Someone is sitting inside the courtyard and looking at the porch. This is Ayyub al-Ayyub description. We had to adjust it a little bit and then put more development, and this is the final representation. What you look at here basically is the front, or basically the neighboring wall of Muhammad Ali Ma'rafi house. He's also a big merchant back in Kuwait. All the Syrian clinic is only in these three doors. So everything is going on here under this porch. So Musaqqaf al-Nasr, back in Kuwait City, private pedestrian bridges, we call it musaqqafat. It was common somehow, where if I have two related families and in between there is a road, basically I could travel without exposing my females. So you could just basically use the musaqqafat. So one of the most famous private pedestrian bridges was located nearby for al-Nasr, Sheikh Subah al-Nasr. And this is the representation of Ayyub al-Ayyub. We adjusted it because it has some mistakes and further development. And then this is the latest. This is the closest to reality. Not that it's perfect, but according to historians, they kind of accept it in a way. This door actually housed the car of Sheikh Allah yarhamah Sa'ad al-Abdullah Salim al-Sabah. He's the former prince of Kuwait. His car was one of the earliest cars and used to park here. So now we're going to go approximately 200 meters south of Al-Khalifa Mosque from the starting point of our journey. Mbarak, Barahat Mbarak, the Plaza of Mbarak, is extremely significant for our research. What's interesting about it, it has a Jewish temple, a mosque for Sunni sect, and a mosque for Shia sect. And this teaches you how tolerant used to be the society back then. And what you see here in yellow basically is the Turkish path, also constructed by some stories said by Ma'rafi, and the other said by the Jewish people themselves, because as you know that Kuwaitis used to bathe inside the mosques. They go to the places where mosques are providing water, and they used to bathe there. But for Jewish, it will be difficult for them to get inside mosques. So some stories, they say they built this bathing structure to bathe there. And they used it, offer it as a service for Kuwaitis. But this story is not confirmed yet. So now we are going to look, we are above Murad Mosque, and we're going to look down toward Mubarak Plaza. So this is the plaza. These images are for the first time we are realizing. All vanished, by the way. So this is the plaza of Mubarak. This is a hufra. We're going to talk about rain water collecting holes later. This is a lot of Jina'at family lived around Barahat Mubarak, Masjid Mubarak. So you see al-Musallam family. This is the courtyard of the mosque called Mubarak. Actually, Mubarak al-Khalifa. These are actually the other mosque, which is al-Khalifa Mosque, and this mosque, constructed by the royal family of Bahrain. Royal family of Bahrain, who used to live there. And then they migrated and ruled Bahrain nowadays. So this is a significant. This is the Jewish temple. After the existence of Israel, most of the Jewish they they migrated to Israel and left these structures for destruction and basically took over by other families. So this is the Shashtari shop, another shop for Al-Qattan, Bayt al-Badr, a famous merchant, Sulaiman al-Badr, and also the Turkish bath here. This is the top of it. And Bayt Muhammad Amin Sanjar is a famous family, Amin, Ailat Amin, and they basically, they called them Sanjar because exactly, they were the people who got the franchise of this. So this is the next image, someone on the ground looking toward the minaret of Masjid Mubarak. So this is the image, okay? Of course, the reason why I put a truck here, because I heard the story by Al-Am Khalid bin Isa al-Jna'i. He said that we used actually this road to test drive back then. So I'll let him talk later about it. But anyway, this is Barahat Mubarak. This is, they used to have a bakery. So as you see, the amenities of the shops are attached to the mosque. So this is a common in Kuwait back then. Okay? So this is the Turkish bath, and at the end, Mubarak Mosque. Okay, we're going to go down south to Mantaqat Masjid Hamdan. So this is approximately 100 meters or 150 meters from Barahat Mubarak, the Plaza of Mubarak, and it's basically 450 from the journey's start. Okay? So this is a simple mosque called Hamdan, and now it exists in front of Burgan Bank, the headquarters of Burgan Bank. There is a small mosque, if you remember. It's actually this one. So basically now we are flying over and looking downward to this mosque. This is an interesting actually image because we find Husayniyya al-Khaz'aliyya, which is a place for people of Shiite sect recite stories about the grandson of Muhammad, and they are neighboring also a mosque, and adjacent to Diwan Abdullah al-Khalifa, which is al-Khalifa male reception. Al-Khalifa actually as-Subah. So this is Diwan Abdullah al-Khalifa as-Subah. And the reason why they are in this area, my assumption they متناسبين عدل. I think they are somehow they are interconnected with the al-Jina'at family somehow. So this is Buhamdi house, Hamdan mosque. This is another a private pedestrian bridge called مسقف عيال يعقوب المطوع. Of course, بيت عبد اللطيف وصالح المسلم, and again, of course, this is مدرسة الوسط أو الوسطى. This is the first female systematic school in Kuwait. So this is the first one, which is located in Sikkat al-Saddani. This is the Sikka Hadi. Okay. And now we are going down to the most important plaza, which is the plaza of al-Jina'at, Barahat al-Jina'at, because we had too many information, so we worked it freely. The next image now, someone flying over, looking southeast almost toward the mosque of al-Jina'at, or mosque of al-Oud. So why did we call him al-Oud? Al-Oud basically is Sayyid Abdul Aziz al-Jna'i. Okay, he's the eldest for the people who were residing here. It's Baraha, but it looks very small for Baraha. Looks very tiny, but for young children, I guess, it was enough to play hide and seeks. And my assumption that the plaza was bigger than this, but Abdulaziz al-Jna'i, I believe, he constructed the mosque on the, and again, the mosque to be situated on Baraha is not something bad, because the mosque used to be not introverted. It's open where you could go and sometimes sleep there, chit-chat with your neighbors. So it's like a forum back then. It's not like something isolated from the neighborhood. So this is the courtyard of Al-Oud Mosque. Diwan Abdul Wahab al-Mutawwa. Ali Abdul Wahab al-Mutawwa, this is his father. And Diwan Khalid al-Mutawwa. Again, it's all males, receptions. It's very important because these are where the places you get news, you interact with your neighbor, you go to the male receptions, and you start to mingle and try to collaborate more. So you see this kind of structure is scattered everywhere. بيت عبد اللطيف المطوع, سليمان الجاسم, مطوع, and مهلهل ياسين, of course. And the Al-Mazidi Mosque. This mosque made me go through many troubles, because last time I talked about it, I told the people that this mosque actually built by Ma'rafi, and the Imam was Al-Mazidi. But I was confirmed by another historian that this is not true. Actually, it was owned by Al-Mazidi, and the Imam was Al-Mazidi. So I apologize for some Mazidi family regarding this issue. Now we're going to go on the ground. We are sitting in Barahat al-Oud and looking toward al-Mihrab. This is the imagination of Ayyub al-Ayyub, and then this is our own thinking. So here people used to hide and seek a lot. Of course. Another view, looking westward. This is Ayyub al-Ayyub, and this is our reconstruction. Again, another view, looking north toward Al-Mutawwa house. This is Ayyub al-Ayyub's imaginative. To be honest, I find Ayyub al-Ayyub paintings more lively than my construction. It's just something, when he drew it, you could feel it. It's very childish. This is another view toward the Bus. When you go further, you're going to find the plaza of al-Dabus. Al-Dabus are a tribe that moved to Fahil. They are asked by Sheikh Mubarak al-Kabir to do that. This is another view, Ayyub al-Ayyub inside the Al-Oud Mosque, and this is our early constructions, and then we pushed it. As you may notice that in his painting, the minaret was isolated from the structure, and in our case, connected, because actually it's a different version. The earliest was Ayyub al-Ayyub, but we are targeting 1951. So when we focus on 1951, it was actually the minaret on this porch. So this is another Liwan al-Oud Mosque, a different view. Let's go down to Hufrat al-Dayyikh area, or Sikkat al-Grouiyya Street, in a way. It's 200 meters south of Al-Oud Plaza, 750 meters where we started. And basically, we had too many informations, but 3D information lacking in this area, only this image we found. So I challenged one of my master's students, Hussein Boland, and I told him, can you do it? And he said, yes, I could do it. So it took him ages, of course, but at the end, it was interesting reconstruction. And we verified it with many people who live there, they kind of give us the green light toward it. Of course, this is the rainwater collecting hole. Of course, you'll find many families originally from Bahrain, Baharna, Beit Shimal al-Kabir. This used to be one of the biggest houses called al-Kabir. Kabir means the biggest. Do you see this curvature? This curvature actually traces the second wall of Kuwait City. Kuwait City had 3 walls throughout its history. The first one was traced near al-Shuyukh neighborhood, but this one is the second one. But when the city grew, basically houses got occupied, but the trace or the curved line existed still. And of course, Yakhur al-Shuyukh or al-Shuyukh Animal and War Equipment Warehouse. Here, Al Saud departed from here to liberate Riyadh from Al-Rashid. Al Saud are the royal family of Saudi Arabia now. And this basically explains the strong ties, political ties between Kuwait and Saudi Arabia. This is understood why they were supporting the country during the invasion from Iraq. So this is Masjid al-Abdul-Razzaq. Abdul-Razzaq is the Imam. And Faraj Bahbahani, of course. This is an imaginative, or basically the reading of Ayyub al-Ayyub. And of course, ours are more colder. Okay, so this is Shimali house. Okay, we'll go now to al-Mubarakiyya area. This is a very significant area. It's where the business center of Kuwait. Sorry, before we go to Mubarakiyya, we pass by Darwazat Abdul-Razzaq. This is Darwaza mean the gate of Abdul-Razzaq in a way. This is where, as I told you, the second wall was here. So it used to be a gate around this area. And this is why we call it Darwazat Abdul-Razzaq, though we cannot see the gate anymore. But the next view now is actually, it's a 3D printed model we generated for this area. So this is Tubayyakh Rain Collecting Hall and Bahbahani House. Of course, another rain collecting hall. Msaggaf, private pedestrian image. And of course, Masjid al-Abdul-Razzaq, Abdul-Razzaq Mosque. This is the Yakhur al-Shuyukh. Now we are going on the ground. We're looking toward the minaret of Masjid al-Abdul-Razzaq. This is Ayyub al-Ayyub's, and this is our interpretation. Of course, this is the Sheikh's warehouse. This is the minarets, and of course the western facade of Abdul-Razzaq Mosque. This is Hufrat al-Abdul-Razzaq, al-Abdul-Razzaq rainwater collecting house. And there are the musaqqafat and other amenities you see here. Okay, sorry, Beit Ahmed al-Majid, not Ahmed. Okay, this is a very important private pedestrian bridge called Musaqqaf al-Abdul-Razzaq, and of course we kind of generated the image as much as possible. And now we'll go to al-Mubarakiyya area, which houses the first systematic school of Kuwait, al-Mubarakiyya school. So now the image is flying over and looking downward toward the school. This is the school. Okay? So this is the school of al-Mubarakiyya. And you see here Masjid al-Suq. If you visited this area yesterday, definitely you have seen this mosque, but in a more modern version. This is still existing. Of course, this is Hufrat Suq. This is the largest rainwater collecting hall. And Al-Faris Mosque, actually, for Al-Awazim tribe. But they call it Al-Faris because of the Imam. Al-Faris. Beit Sayyid Umar, one of the earliest educators in Kuwait, he was adjacent to the school of al-Barkiyah, and this is the municipality. This is another view. This is the beginning of Souk al-Dakhli. Yesterday, basically, you ended here, if you are a visitor. Actually, nowadays, there is a road running through this one. This is al-Mosque, Souk Mosque. It's al-Hufra. This is al-Mubarakiyah School, of course. And this is Gahwat Bunashi. Nowadays, it is located next to the mosque, here, somewhere here, which is not correct. Of course, this is the end of Souk al-Tijar, because if you go this way, you'll end up with Sif Palace. Sif Palace. This is Mbarkiya from inside. This is also another view. This is the entrance of al-Mbarkiya. And this is the toilet area of al-Mbarkiya done by Ayub al-Ayub. And now we reconstructed as much as possible. And at the end, we are going to end up with a Baheita area. Baheita area, of course, is significant because it's neighbored the Sif Palace, which is the Palace of Administration. And the next view is someone flying over. You remember the first image I showed you? Actually, that's the results now. So this is the main building of Al-Sif Palace and the prison, Al-Ibrahim Mosque, and of course the western Sif side and the storage harbor, storages for the harbor. Because this is the Idarat al-Jumruk, and this is the land of Baheita, the source of Kuwait. So another image. And this is, this is the last image, which is the northern facade of Sif Palace. So at the end, I would like to thank definitely my students, the 50 students that worked with me, between bachelor degrees and master degree students. Specifically, I would like to thank, and I would like to name them definitely, Dana al-Hassan, Hawra al-Musawi, Maha al-Shimmiri, Amjad al-Mjalli, Abdul Wahab al-Mazidi, Sayyid Abbas al-Muhri, Hussein Boland, Ahmed al-Gallaf, Saad al-Abeid, Rabab Kazim, Ahmed Buhamed, Bas al-Hassan, Sarah Bhabahani, Lulu Abdehani, Isra Deshti. Is anyone here? Can you stand up? I would like to really thank you for all your efforts. Unfortunately, few of them, but they are the main power behind this project, and I'm still continuing my project based on their analysis. But again, I would like to thank also the people who I interviewed and the historians. Of course, I would like to thank Mohammed Jamal, the one who established the map. I would like also to thank Al-Am Khalid Isa Saleh. He really helped me significantly about Barahat al-Oud. I cannot say anything but to be thankful to deceased artist Ayub al-Ayub. He's unfortunately not here with us, but his soul is among us, definitely. Sheikh Faisal al-Saud al-Sabah, he helped me significantly with the Shuyukh neighborhood. Al-Am Saleh al-Ajeri, Al-Am Basim al-Logani, and at the end, I would like to thank definitely Sheikh Hassa Sabah for sponsoring and trying to spread the word about this project as much as possible. And but at the end, thank you all for being patient and hopefully. Oh, yes. Ooh, this is a very important person, which is Al-Am Musa Ma'arafi. Musa Ma'arafi, without whom we could not do anything regarding Ma'arafi area. So he was always with us. He gave us a lot of stories. He caused us some trouble with the Mazidis, but it was okay. Thank you very much, everyone. And